there's been some back and forth recently about the verse in the Bible that says, "Judge not, lest ye be judged." I feel like there needs to be some context with this verse, okay? Because on one side of it, who's it talking to? Who's it talking to? Okay? Yeshua pretty consistently was witnessing to non-believers, people who maybe were raised in religion, but they were outcasts for some reason, and they struggled with their faith or had other issues, okay? So he was not judging those people. And even in the Old Testament, if you put it in perspective and in context, the people weren't to judge unbelieving people, okay? The strangers, okay? Now, if the stranger came to live in the land, they needed to adopt the land's belief system, okay? And customs and traditions, okay? But the stranger, they were not to be judged, okay? So, but believers are supposed to be judged by their fruit. You will know them by their fruit, okay? So, when we have somebody coming out of paganism, witchcraft, whatever, if they're coming out into belief, they're not going to automatically change to a religiosity, churchianity standard. And they shouldn't. Okay? Many changes can happen. Big changes. Okay? We've known people who were alcoholics or drug addicts that went cold turkey. They accepted Jesus and no longer had even a craving for those things anymore. All right? There are things, because when you are without faith, you tend to do things that hurt yourself and possibly hurt others. When you're hurting yourself, you're hurting others around you, okay? That's just all there is to it. They're hurtful. Whether they mean to be hurtful or not, to others, they're hurtful. They know they're hurtful to themselves usually, okay? But they're hurtful. So if you see somebody who says they are a Christian and they're being hurtful, they're not living in faith. All right? They may call themselves Christians all day and all night. I don't care. They may go to church 5 times a week. They may carry their Bible around with them and be thumping it all the time. That does not make them a person of faith and belief. They have to have fruit. If they say they are a quote-unquote Christian, they need to be showing fruit. Now, these new believers coming up, they can't bear fruit yet, so you cannot judge them by fruit. They have to start brand spanking new. They've got seeds that have been watered and are sprouting. They need their roots dug in deep. They need to be fertilized, and that doesn't mean you need to go dump your poo on them. All right? Life will do that itself. You don't need to go fertilize them. They need sunshine. They need rain. They need all of the things to get good, sturdy roots and to get their leafing system. Yeshua used grapevines and olive trees as his main examples of growth. He also used wheat, and wheat goes in cycles. It rises up, it gets green, it establishes its root system, it starts bearing its fruit, which is the grain, and then it bends over and dies and dumps its fruit on the ground, or, its fruit, its grain on the ground for that to replant and start more. And that's very similar to what our cycle of faith is supposed to look like. We're supposed to be, Paul said, dying to ourselves daily, right? So, baby believers who are coming into the faith, you don't judge them by their fruit. You help them establish their roots and give them sunshine for their leaves. You know, like a new plant that you bring into your house. If you've had house plants, you talk to them, you water them, you dust them, you help them, you move them over to a better light occasionally. You turn them around at the window. I like house plants, and so the house plants have to turn them around so that they're getting light all the way around them at different times. Sometimes I need to go in and prune them, and I need to cut some of the stuff off, stick it in water, let it create a root system and grow more. Okay? So whenever it says, judge not lest ye be judged, there's a perspective there. You don't judge the unbelievers or the new baby faith that's coming in. We don't judge them. But if you say you are a believer and you're putting yourself as a strong believer and you are trying to teach, preach, admonish, or anything else, then you better be producing fruit, because that's how we're supposed to know you. We're supposed to know you by, well, they're supposed to know all of us by our love. So even the babies, whenever they come in, should be showing love. We should be seeing love come out of them. As a matter of fact, usually for the babies, it'll be flowing out of them. It will just be because all of a sudden they are receptive to it and it is overflowing. But if you've become stagnant and you've got holes in your bucket and the love that is being poured into you is leaking out and not staying, and you're worn out, you're overwhelmed, and you're irritated with the world, then you need to work on repairing some holes and get your own faith and your own beam out of your eye and get everything straight so that you've got good fruit going on and so that your bucket will be overflowing for everybody else to benefit from. That's how it's supposed to work. You don't pour yourself out. You let him overflow you out into others. So anyway, because I'm seeing flack going on here, and if you're not careful, those babies, you will chase them right back out. And we're supposed to be being an example of him on earth. And most of y'all, you ain't doing it. You ain't doing it. So stop, reconsider, reevaluate, and figure out where you are, where your roots are, how your leaves are doing, and what fruit you are producing before you start admonishing somebody else.